Everybody wants to tell young girls to get on birth control, but nobody's talking about or researching the long-term effects of birth control. So many people get on birth control as a teen, including myself, and you don't even truly know or understand what is being put into your body. You don't understand the impact, and you don't understand the potential long-term effects of birth control. While birth control is a tool that can be used to minimize symptoms because it's not addressing the root problem, it is also something that can cause long-term effects. And nobody is talking about the side effects of birth control. As somebody who got on birth control as a teen for bad periods, and I took myself off cold turkey in 2021, I just started doing more research. I was early on in my healing journey and my spiritual journey, and I ultimately came to the decision that this is not something that I'm going to put inside my body any longer, and I stopped. I got on birth control as a teen, like many other black girls. I had bad periods, and so the number one thing that doctors normally suggest is birth control. Mind you, you're supposed to be prescribed birth control or giving birth control if you are trying to prevent pregnancy. So that's the first red flag. Why are you handing out birth control like candy to people who are coming to you with acne issues, with mood swings, with bad periods? They're prescribing you birth control because they don't want to get to the root of the problem. Like many people, I didn't have that many issues while I was on birth control. I really didn't have that many issues while I was on birth control. It was coming off where I got to see exactly what people were talking about. So off rip, my doctor told me, your bad periods are most likely going to return. They're probably going to be just as bad or worse. So that was weighing on me. So my bad periods did return. My hormones were completely out of whack. I have a naturopathic doctor as well as a regular doctor, and so basically the difference between a naturopathic doctor and a regular doctor is that a naturopathic doctor hones in on holistic healing and tries to get to the root cause and tries to find natural ways to be able to treat or figure out whatever it is that's going on. So they have the same training like a regular doctor. However, they are going to be more likely to prescribe you herbs or supplements versus just plain old pills and stuff like that. So I went to my naturopathic doctor after stopping birth control, and he looked at my hormones. I went and got my hormones tested. There's a specific time of the month that they really want you to go because you want to capture a true image of your hormones to see where you're at. And so you have three main hormones: estrogen, progesterone, and cortisol. Don't ask me which each one helps with or is connected to, because I can't tell you that right now off the top of my head. But what I can tell you is that these hormones make or break you. These hormones make or break you. They're connected to your mental health. They're connected to how you show up. They're connected to your appetite. They're connected to everything, essentially, when it comes to being a woman. So you really want to balance your hormones. Along with my hormones being out of whack, and because my hormones were just completely out of whack and just all over the place, I experienced a lot of depression. I experienced a lot of anxiety. I was also diagnosed with premenstrual dysphoric disorder, aka PMDD. And so PMDD is a mood disorder as well as a gynecological disorder. So we have somebody who has PMDD are going to have mood symptoms, but you're also going to have physical symptoms. So a week prior, usually a week and a half prior to my cycle coming, I can start to literally feel the shift in my hormones. I can start to feel the shift in my mood. I can start to feel the shift in my appetite. I can start to feel the shift in how frequent I'm going to the bathroom. Essentially, when I explain PMDD, I tell people it's like being pregnant. It's like having the pregnancy symptoms every month without being pregnant. And so there's no research that shows that PMDD comes directly from birth control. I probably already had PMDD, and the birth control masked my symptoms, just like it masked my anxiety symptoms as well as my ADHD symptoms. So coming off birth control, I struggled with anxiety, I struggled with depression, I struggled with my appetite, I struggled with acne. And while I've been able to make a lot of progress when it comes to my cycle and my period, I cannot tell you that I've done everything and everything correctly and consistently enough to be able to see the change that I want to see. I know that this is a journey. I know that I'm actively still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still trying things out, but I've definitely seen progress, because there was a point in my life where I didn't even want to get out of bed with my cycle. Like, I would literally be in tears. My period has sent me to the emergency room twice. So to be able to have this conversation with you all, speak to you all about this topic really does mean a lot to me. I do want you to be properly educated. I do want you to ask questions. I do want you to do your own research. I do want you to read your own books, because you know the easiest way to hide something from a black person, they say, is by putting it in a book. I did not know any of this information until I started researching on my own. Doctors were not telling me this. When I told my gynecologist that I wanted to stop birth control, she wanted to know why. And when I told her it was because of the research that I've been doing on my own, she asked me if I thought that I was smarter than her. And I got rid of her ass quick. Birth control, number one, intended use is to prevent pregnancy. So if you are going to the doctors for bad periods, bad cramps, for acne, and they're prescribing birth control, that is your first red flag. Number two, most people don't have any bad side effects while they're on birth control. I know I didn't. So yes, you are most likely fine when you're on birth control. You're living your best life. You're probably not getting a period, and life is just good. But number three is what I really want you to pay attention to. The research is limited on the long-term effects of birth control. The research is limited when it comes to post-birth control syndrome. Nobody is looking at the women who were on birth control as teenagers and are now navigating anxiety and depression and things like that. Nobody's putting two and two together. So while you might be okay while you're on birth control, please keep in mind that one day you might want to have kids, right? And so just do your research on how being on birth control can impact you. And I'm not just talking about when it comes to fertility, right? Birth control changes you. You are, depending on which version you're on, you are being pumped with synthetic hormones. Those are not real hormones. So coming off birth control, and this is me personally speaking, I felt like I didn't know who I was. I was on the pill for over 10 plus years, and I really feel like a lot of parts of me were masked. So I definitely had ADHD as a kid, but getting on birth control so early allowed a lot of my symptoms to be masked. I definitely had anxiety as a kid, but getting on birth control so young allowed a lot of those symptoms to be masked. I probably had PMDD, most likely had PMDD as a kid, and birth control allowed those symptoms to be masked. So birth control is a big masker. And the truth of the matter is, no matter how long you're on birth control, no matter what form you're on, eventually you're probably going to get off, and you're going to have different things that will go on, different things that pop up, and you're not really going to be connecting the two. But I'm here to tell you that there is a connection between what we start to experience later in our adult life versus the birth control we started when we were a teenager. After stopping birth control and going to a naturopathic doctor, the number one thing he wanted to focus on was balancing my hormones. So we tested my hormones, we got all of my levels. He then advised me to start seed cycling. So seed cycling is when you take a regimen of seeds throughout the month and you rotate them. So I am not currently doing this. This is something that I did when I first stopped birth control. But you use pumpkin seeds, you use sunflower seeds, you use brown flax seeds, and I forgot the last kind of seeds. But you rotate those throughout the month, so you can just take a spoonful, you can put it in your yogurt, you can put it in your smoothie, you can put it in your food. You just want to make sure you're taking those seeds when you're supposed to, because they are going to help balance your hormones. On top of trying seed cycling, I was taking some turmeric supplements like a week or two before my cycle. He had me do that. I also had to change my diet. So I used to be somebody who, I didn't eat horribly, but I didn't eat the best or the most healthiest. So I had to kind of change my diet. So incorporating more salmon, incorporating more leafy greens, incorporating more smoothies, and then incorporating more supplements. So stopping birth control or being on birth control depletes a lot of your nutrient levels and things like that. So I was taking vitamin D, taking vitamin B12, taking magnesium glycinate, however you say it. And honestly, I'm still figuring out what works best for me. I will say I've seen a lot of progress with my cycle. The number one thing that I'm working on right now is just trying to shorten it. The pain level, I've worked with that, so I'm just really hoping that I can shorten my cycle. But I'm just thankful for the amount of progress I've been able to make, because my periods used to literally almost kill me every month. It got to a point where I used to dread, like, oh my gosh. And then my therapist told me one day, like, girl, you know you have a long time with your period, so you're gonna have to try to figure out a game plan every month to see what works for you to try to alleviate the symptoms. If you are looking to learn more about birth control, learn more about my personal birth control journey, I invite you to take a look at my ebook. My ebook dives into the different types of birth control, the side effects, what you can do when you are coming off of birth control, and I also give you a list of resources that you can go and dive into yourself to help you with your birth control decision.